to another episode of the Inner Typewriter, the show with typewriters, coffee, and conversations about how to make our writing better. With me today is Linda J. She's a copy editor and copywriter, and a lot of experience, so we're really happy to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks, Scott.
And today we're focusing in on a little more specific topic of jacket copy. And well, first of all, jacket copy, what is that? It sounds like, making clothing in a factory or something, but no, we're talking about writing. What is that?
No,
What does that even mean?
You might think that's what it is, but it isn't. Let's see, here's an example. Here's a book that I edited. There's the jacket, comes right off the book.
Boom.
Here's the jacket copy. It's also called flap copy. That part is also called flap copy.
Flap copy.
Yes, and then this is the back of the jacket. That's a whole other thing which we can get into, because there's a very special way to do back jacket copy.
So you help people write their jacket copy.
No, my first job was at Little Brown, a traditional book publisher in Boston, back in the 1960s, and I was an advertising copywriter in the trade book department, and in addition to press releases and catalog copy and other things, one of my jobs was to write jackets for books. And so we would get the jackets, and then we'd have to ponder, what's the most important thing here, and you really did have to at least skim the text so you know what you're talking about when you wrote the copy. This is also called flap copy, this part. And let's see. And then if you'd like me, and sometimes it is still called dust jacket copy, but that phrase is kind of going away, I think. And then I can tell you why jacket copy is important. Should we get into that?
Yes. Why should our viewers out there who they finish their book, maybe they're self-publishing, maybe they're working with an editor, why is it important to do jacket copy?
And also we can get into who is the right person to write the jacket copy, the author, the publisher, the editor, the man on the street? No. Let's see. Jacket copy, particularly the back jacket, is a highly specialized form of advertising copy, because particularly when a potential reader goes into a bookstore and takes your book off the shelf to look at it, you've got, I don't know the exact number of seconds, you've got maybe 10 or 15 seconds to impress that potential reader to want to read more. Well, one great way to do it is through your back jacket. And the back jacket usually has a short author bio. It has endorsements, probably from 3 to 5 people, and it's best if those endorsers have some sort of professional standing in the field of the topic that you're writing about, or if that isn't possible, if they have some identification to a potential reader, so that the reader would be impressed by the favorable endorsement. And so, and another part of back jacket copy, particularly in novels, questions. You want to have 3 or 4 questions that will pique the P-I-Q-U-E, that will pique the potential reader's interest. You want to be very, you want to get a lot of intrigue in there. And then actually there are some guidelines. I think back jacket copy shouldn't be much more than 500 words. 500
words?
Yeah, and remember, you've only got a few seconds to hook that potential reader, so you've got to make it good. And you don't want to tell too much. You want to intrigue the person to want to know more and want to buy your book. So that's the point of it. And, you know, you can be kind of outrageous in back jacket copy in order to hook the reader's attention. Let me see, I'm trying to find something here, just a second. I did write, I've written a lot of back jacket copy. Alexander McKinney, author of Keystone, says that he now has back cover copy he's proud of after working with me. He didn't have that before. And that the story description now leaps out at you and begs to be read. That is your goal. It's the same thing as in a newspaper article. There's something called the hook.
The hook.
The hook should come in your first sentence and almost literally reach out and grab the reader and in to the interest and make the reader want to go further. So that's back jacket copy. Are there any more questions about that?
Yeah. So we heard a little bit of some things not to do in your jacket copy, like don't tell too much.
No, don't tell too much.
What are some other things that you shouldn't do in your jacket copy? Some no-nos, some mistakes that people might make.
Let's see. Well,
I mean, should an author write it themselves, or what's your ultimate recommendation for who writes the jacket copy?
I think it's helpful. I think if you're working with a publisher, have someone in the PR department, such, you know, where I was, have that person do it, because that's your specialty. The publisher themselves, the publisher should not write the jacket copy, but the people in the PR department, marketing, should do it. The editor, I don't see that would be. I don't think so. The author could provide salient points that they think should be included. Yes, and then whoever's actually going to do the writing could consider those points, and if they're relevant or if they're useful, then include them. If the author thinks they're that important, then by all means put them into the copy. As far as what not to do, well, you don't want repetition. You don't want something that you want something that catches the reader's attention. That's what you're aiming for. You don't want something that the person's going to think, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep here. You know, I don't want to read this book. It sounds boring. You don't want that. You want to zero in on a few points that are just thought-provoking or interesting or catch their attention. That's what you're trying to do. And think about, in a bookstore, all the different books on the shelves that a potential reader has to choose from. Now, what's going to make your book stand out to that?
Right.
And you've got a very short, probably 300 to 500 words, piece of real estate in which to work there. So it's got to be hard-hitting, and it's got to just grab them, as we say. I'm trying to think of other things that you would not want to put in. Well, you don't. The point is, you don't want the potential reader to fall asleep, you know, and then wake up and say, "Oh, no."
So find what that thing is that makes your story
unique, makes it stand out. If you're on a shelf, if your book is on a shelf with just so many other novels or whatever the topic is, you've got to stand out somehow. And so that should, if you keep thinking about that when you're focused on the back jacket copy, that will kind of naturally lead you to several points that you must include on the back jacket that are unique to your book. Otherwise, what's the point? Just have a blank jacket.
What's do you think it might be? Productive for an author to go into a bookstore and read
Yes.
a bunch of others just to see what it's all about?
Yes, that is an excellent point. Go to a bookstore that's a popular bookstore, and go to a shelf that has books with your topic and see what the topics are, how the back jacket is written, and get some ideas and look at them and say, pretend that you're just every reader coming in to buy a book, and you've got 20 books there, and you choose one. Well, think about it. What was it about that one that made you want to choose that one? Yes, that is definitely a very, very productive idea, because you'll have an idea of what's around, and you just don't want to muddy the waters with too much copy and irrelevant copy. And no, you don't want that. You want to zero in wham on what is it about your book that will make the potential reader want to take a copy of your book off the shelf and go to the cash register.
Yeah, and change their lives forever.
Well, we don't know about that for sure, but that's the hope. And but yes.
So what about, there's fiction jacket copy and then there's nonfiction jacket copy. Have you written styles for both? Is there much similarities?
I've done a bit of both. Oh, and by the way, another excellent thing, particularly in fiction, is to zero in on one or two just riveting paragraphs and put them on the back jacket. Riveting paragraphs from some place in the book.
So a sample directly out of the story.
Yes, but it's got to be very carefully chosen.
Okay.
Maybe keep in mind your potential reader, and if the reader reads this paragraph or two paragraphs, what do you think the reader's reaction will be? And I think that's a very good thing to do. Something that will kind of give them the essence, the real essence of the book. And that's one of the reasons that they would choose to read your book, might be that sample on the back page.
At what stage of the writing process should the author start worrying about their jacket copy? Can they leave it to the end, or should they start thinking about it early?
No, don't leave it to the end. Particularly if you're going to have endorsements, that sometimes takes weeks or months to get the exact people that you want. And I know, and you should not be afraid to approach experts in the field, if depending on the subject of your book. Don't be afraid to contact them. All you're doing is asking, and all they can say is no if they're not interested. But if they say yes, and you've got either the person has a big name in the field, or people will certainly recognize the name or whatever it is, sometimes that takes weeks or months to get connected with that person or the person's PR people or whatever it is. But I know people who have taken a chance and gone to the top person in their field, just saying, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. But oftentimes they're so busy that it takes weeks or months to connect with them. But then if you can get their endorsement, that's terrific. Endorsements shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 sentences. And then you put a descriptive tagline of the most important thing about that person right after their name.
And that it's worth waiting for that, because it makes a big difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a big name in the field. It could be just a very, very to the point testimonial, but it helps if the person has some sort of reputation and people will know who they are. But that isn't always the most important thing. It's the content of the testimonial itself. But
Great.
this is going back to your question: at what stage should an author start worrying about writing jacket copy? Well, in the case of endorsements, I'd say as early as you can, because oftentimes they're out of the country, or they're doing this, or they're doing that, and it takes forever to get in touch.
Right.
But if you can get in touch, and if they want to read a sample, or read the book, and you send it to them, and that's really going to help your book.
Right. So remember the jacket copy as you're finishing your manuscript and getting ready to send it out in the world.
Oh yeah, and your other question: should you not worry about it until you get a book deal? Oh no, God no, no. Think about it as early as you can, because that's what you ought to do.
That's good. That's great advice. Well, it's a small little part of the book, but it actually is really important.
No, it's very important, particularly nowadays. There's so much competition. So many authors writing books about the same topics. You have to have a way of standing out. You must. And the jacket copy and the cover are just, I can't overemphasize the importance. In many cases, it's what will make a potential reader decide whether or not they want to buy your book.
Right, and that's the first thing they see, and it's the first impressions that they get of your work.
Yeah, so it's very important. It's a specialized form of advertising copy.
So I think we have a bonus feature ready. Where I heard that you, in addition to all your editing career, you also had another career.
Well, it wasn't a career. It was just a one-time week when I was 19. But go ahead. I know what you're going to say.
Well, so I just heard that you had a different calling just for a short period of time. So tell us about that. I think it was in Cincinnati.
Oh, yes, I grew up in Cincinnati, and in between, I went to 4 colleges. Don't ask me why. I ended up with a BA in English, but anyway, in between 2 colleges, I was home for the summer, and I fancied myself a singer of jazz songs because I'm a jazz fanatic, and there was a place no longer there with the magnificent name of the Hangover Lounge. And I auditioned there, and they put me, I was up on top of a piano. I don't know how that happened. The piano was ringed with lights, and I stood up there for an hour every night for a week, and I sang jazz.
Wow.
Yeah.
High heels on top of the...
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
You do strange things at that age.
And was someone
at any
playing,
age, what?
Someone was playing the piano
Of
while you were up there?
course.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, that would be a great picture if there ever was one. But what a fantastic life, and what a great career, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with our viewers. And thank you all for watching another episode, and remember to think about your jacket copy too, and the importance of the cover of your book. And as always, don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.